And then, of course, the other game we had on Saturday, the Ole Miss Rebels hitting the field to end spring there in Oxford. And whew, rough day for Jackson Dart. That's what I could say about that. I mean, this was something Kiffin had talked about. These quarterbacks seem to be hot and cold. And Altmyer, I wouldn't particularly say he was hot, but he was certainly the better quarterback of the two. Jackson Dart forcing things left and right. I thought even Kincaid Dent, the number 3 quarterback, came in and looked more impressive than Jackson Dart. So he's got to clean some stuff up there. Jackson Dart, of course, just got there. It's not like he's going to be mastering the offense after 15 practices. And Kiffin said this thing is certainly going into training camp, much like the LSU battle. Of course, that's what you got to say nowadays if you're a coach, because you don't want these guys jumping in the portal. But Luke Altmyer had himself a day. I will say both quarterbacks, Dart and Luke Altmyer, they showcased a little bit more mobility than I thought they had. And, Luke Altmyer, it looked like he was not quite ready last season as a true freshman. They certainly did not expect him to play, particularly in some marquee. He got in action, I believe, was the Auburn game. And, of course, the Sugar Bowl, those moments, those were supposed to be times when Matt Corral was going to shine. So it's understandable. Luke Altmyer, it's not a game-breaking quarterback his first fall there in Oxford. But he seemed to take a real step forward, I thought, during this spring game and this camp. So, and the biggest thing is he wasn't making the mistakes. That's something that Jackson Dart, he had multiple interceptions, 1 pick six, another one should have been a pick six, but a bad call on the run back stopped another pick six. But it wasn't all doom and gloom here for Ole Miss, because Michael Trigg, the guy they were hyping up, the tight end, Jackson Dart's roommate, former Southern Cal teammate, man, that guy's legit. Scored multiple touchdowns. He's just the go-to guy in the red zone. Scored a 2-point conversion as well. He is going to probably break some records down there at Ole Miss when we're talking about productivity from the tight end position. And that's saying something, because they've had Kenny Yeboah had a great year. They've had Evan Ingram, Dawson Knox. But I think this Michael Trigg is more talented than any of them, based on what I've been hearing and based on what I saw on Saturday. So Michael Trigg, you got yourself one hell of a tight end there for the Ole Miss Rebels. He's going to be a star this fall for the Rebels. I thought the offensive line, particularly the second offensive line for Ole Miss, very shaky. And that could have played a part why Jackson Dart struggled. It was the unit that was paired with him that particularly had a rough performance. But as Kiffin says here in a little bit, the defensive line, that may be the strength of the team. So it may just be that the Ole Miss defensive line is that much better. That is a position that they have attacked via the transfer portal, including the Georgia State transfer, Ivy. He looked great. Isaiah Wolfer, the running back, had maybe the play of the day, 56-yard touchdown run, several broken tackles during that touchdown. And how about this guy they got from this? When they got him, I was like, okay, I guess that's added depth. We already know they got Zach Evans, but Ucelis Bennett, the transfer from SMU, he looked great. Reminded me of another Rebel that had a hell of a career, Dexter McCluster. That's who he reminds me of. A guy that can play running back, play receiver, probably return kicks for you. He had some star plays in this spring game. So Ucelis Bennett, that is another name to know, and Kiffin has just got to be beside himself that he's got guys like Trigg, Ucelis Bentley here. He's got Zach Evans, all these new toys to play with. I cannot wait to see what they look like this fall in Oxford. And again, a lot of unknowns here for the Ole Miss Rebels. And that is something that Lane Kiffin continues as spring has come to an end here in Oxford. Let's kick it over to Kiffin talking about the defensive line, how much he likes them. Jackson Dart struggling in this game. The up and down play of both quarterbacks in camp, and a timeline for naming a starting quarterback for Ole Miss.
Who likes the defensive line was maybe a little farther ahead today?
Yeah, I think our defensive line has been deeper all camp or spring, and some of those guys being new have added that. I think by far that's our biggest positional change. If you went from when we got here to now, would be that group. Went from I would say our weakest link to maybe our strongest. So that's good. And it looked like the second offensive line played better. Now again, very limited in what they're seeing on defense. That helps too.
Jackson, in that first half, you seemed kind of never really find a rhythm there.
Yeah, not a very good first half. Thought he was trying to win the job instead of just playing quarterback and forcing balls and not being very consistent. So just talked to him before the half, about calming down and taking one play at a time, and thought he did some better things in the second half.
You said the other day that with those two guys, it kind of seemed like one day one would be playing well and the other wasn't, and another day it would be the opposite. Was that kind of like a little bit more like what you saw today a little bit? And
yeah, that would be considered Luke's day in that way. Jackson made some mistakes early, and Luke seemed to play really consistent, and not force things.
What's kind of your off-season message for both those quarterbacks? And I guess, like, how far away, I guess, would you say you are in terms of like making a decision of start? I know it's far away, but I mean, where are you kind of at and all that?
Again, we don't have to make a decision today, so we got a lot of time left, and Jackson just got here, and Luke's had a year ahead of him, so I would hope Jackson would continue to improve, with more time in our system throughout fall camp.